Good evening, everybody. I have an image of Christine Blasey Ford up on my screen, and as we know, she is going to be testifying this coming Thursday. And I do understand what it feels like to face your accuser. I did have a predator in my world from ages 10 to 14, which was an absolute nightmare. And there were threats to my life and to my family's life if I told. And I did end up telling at 14 years old, and fortunately the people around me took me seriously. During this time when I was 14, it was the women's movement was really in full steam. So the team that I worked with, the Child Protective Services and the lawyers and things, they were very much in tune with the women's movement. And they were, I never felt like I was being, the one to blame. And so I followed through with things, and that was just really, really not an easy thing. You've got to go through and describe everything and pretty much relive it all. And then the predator, was brought into court. And fortunately, he confessed before I had to get on the stand and go through it again because I was terrified. I felt like, it was my fault. And you just go through that. So I know that mentality. I know what it feels like. I really felt like I could have carried it. But for me, it just got too heavy of a burden to carry. It was so overwhelming. And I'm not very good at keeping things repressed. So it was right there. And so anyway, the predator got a life. He got life in prison, so he was going to rot in prison, pretty much. It was major, and they took it seriously. So anyways, that is the thing, that these men and whoever the perpetrators are need these consequences. They need to get them. The victims need to be taken seriously. And this is why the victims don't tell, because of all of that. For me, I had so many fears, and thank God I was taken seriously. I thought that I would be blamed, all sorts of things. You know that mentality when you live through it, and even after he's put away, for God's sakes, you have the years of trauma and the wounds and all that come from that you just have to move through and keep on. But anyway, so this is just something that I understand, and I really appreciate how Dr. Ford, in this environment that we have now with all the death threats, and really I've gotten death threats, with the few things I do on YouTube, so I can't imagine how it feels with in the climate she is in. Really, what a nightmare. And so we can praise her that she's bringing this to its final conclusion, whatever that is, and let the chips fall as they may. And since she has done that with sincerity, and we'll see how it goes. We haven't come to that date yet, but that is going to be an example for women to stand up, to speak out, and to follow through, because the more that this can be done, the less the perpetrators are going to be able to get away with it. They're going to see there's actual consequences. And there may not be in this case, but we just have to keep going. We have to keep going with this, okay? So anyway, let's do a quick reading on Dr. Ford. Okay, so she's trying to get everything in order. She tried to, as best possible, get things lined up so she can be shown in the best light possible. And as we know, this wasn't an easy thing to do, and she's still not going to have it all lined up. You can see there's a no. There's no way with all the resistance that's there and all of it. And so let's ask, is her testimony going to help Kavanaugh? Will it help him? Okay, you can see there's a no. Will it make it harder for him? Okay, so you can see there's a no. So the feeling is that it will stay pretty much like it is now, where people's mindsets are. Okay, this is the feeling. It's a pretty big yes. So we can ask, do the Republicans have their minds made up already? You know, because really this is all you have to convince, because it's likely that the Democrats will vote against him. So it's the Republicans that you're trying to convince, which is very hard. So do they have mostly their minds made up right now? Okay, so you can see it moves down to a very small no. And then it gets bigger, like yes, the majority. The majority, you know, there's a few, maybe 2.5 or something, that have not made up their minds. And so are they open to hearing this and possibly changing their mind once Dr. Ford testifies? Let's see. We're going to wait and see what happens here. I'm trying to... You know, it's not moving too much. You can kind of see it's moving more as no than yes. If anything, there's maybe a tiny resonance of that. But you can see how the majority of the feeling is that people are pretty set in how they feel about this thing right now, you know, regardless of how it plays out. And that's really too bad. You know, we don't know for sure yet, but that's just the general feeling here now. The climate of it is so stacked against her in many ways, really. So, okay, so let's see. Will Kavanaugh get into the Supreme Court? Okay, so one can see there's a no, and then, let's see, there is a broader yes. Okay, so we're getting kind of a percentage, so it looks like it's more likely that he will than not. And one can see this is a yes, and this is even after the testimony of Dr. Ford. Okay, one can see there's a yes, and it almost gets bigger. Hard to see, okay, boy. And, okay, so now it's saying no to something. Does this mean no, it's not hard to see? Okay, that's what it's saying. Oh, okay. Well, well, it feels like there will be some, will there be, once he gets in, if he does, still, of course, there's an if there, will there be some checks and balances in place on him and some of the choices there? Okay, one can see a no and a yes. You know, it's about 50-50. There's a no and a yes. Okay, the other thing is, did he do this? Did he do this, what Dr. Ford is accusing him of? Okay, one can see there's a yes. There's a yes. She's telling the truth. She's telling the truth. Okay, there you go. And anything else we really need to know in this reading that's of import? You know, I did want to ask, what will there be some good? Let's say he does get in. Okay, this is the worst case scenario. That does seem like it has some possibility, at least in this reading. Will there be some good that comes from her show of bravery and speaking out about her story that may be helpful in the future? Okay, so this is the first time it's actually gotten heavy, and there is a feeling of yes resonating. Before it was just kind of there. So that just means there's some substance and weight to that could come forward that will benefit women, you know, even young women, girls, all of it, to see her standing out this way, speaking up. Through all of this nightmare, really, it's just thrown her life into an upheaval. So she's being honest. Is this correct? Yes. Is Kavanaugh being honest? Bing, no. Okay. Boy. Okay, well, I guess we can leave it at this. I don't know what else there is to really say with this. Let's just wait to see how it unfolds and hope. For the best case scenario, there was some percentage that he may not get in. It looks like it was about 40-60. Something like that. So, you know, there is still some chance that he won't. And that would be a very good thing. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, although it did feel, even maybe 35, 65, I don't know, but, around that percentage. But there is still a greater chance, at least from this reading, that that people are close to having they're kind of set in their ways. And, I listened to a group of women, Republican women on CNN the other night, and they were saying even if he did do it, they would, he's going to go in. I mean, they were kids, and who cares? So, that's a lot of the mindset too. So they're just already set in that, well, it's no big deal. I mean, this happens this is what young men do. And boy, I hope not. I have a son, and I know he didn't do this kind of thing. And I'm telling you, if he did, I couldn't even imagine the feeling. So that is not something that most men do, and I know his friends don't do that either. So, I never heard him describe anything like this, and the way he treats women is not this way. I can tell you that right now. Okay, so that's about all I'm going to say in this reading. Let's just keep our fingers crossed that that 40% rises up more, but it's sounding like, I've checked it a few times, that's about where it's been. Take care. Bye-bye.